This is the second of 4 videos demonstrating how to create an exhibition of digital images on Omeka. In this video, we're going to create TIF versions of each of our NEF images. If this is the first time that you've created TIF versions of your NEF images, the first thing that you'll need to do is download the Irrfan View software. Irrfan View is free software that allows you to manipulate images and also view images. You can also use a paid application like Adobe Photoshop for everything that we're going to do here, but Irrfan View is totally fine and totally free, and so that is what we're going to use. The link to Irrfan View is available in the full text guide in the comments section below. So you'll follow that link and you'll end up on this page. If you don't know whether you have a 64-bit Windows installation or a 32-bit Windows installation, if you have a newer computer, it's almost certainly 64-bit, but you can also check this pretty easily by opening up the System Information menu. And we see right here that we have a 64-bit operating system. So we're going to go ahead and download the 64-bit Windows installer for Irrfan View. And you'll also need to download the 64-bit plugins installer. And the reason we need the plugins is so that we can interact with NEF files in Irrfan View. So we're going to download both the main installer and the plugins. We're going to run the main installer first. Default settings are probably fine here, although you can configure them as you wish. The important thing is you remember where you're going to be installing the software to. Once we click through, on this screen you can set Irrfan View as the default image viewer for all kinds of different file types. I actually prefer it to the default Windows Photo Viewer, image viewer in a lot of cases. So this might be something I recommend. I'm not going to do it right now though for any of these extensions for the purpose of this exercise. So click through that screen and then click next one more time and it's installed. So that's all set. I'm actually not going to start Irrfan View just yet because the last thing that I want to do is install the plugins as well. Again, just remember, install it to the same folder as you installed the main version of the software. And it's very quick, and we're done. So now we've installed Irrfan View, we've installed the plugins. I'm going to search for it down in the search bar and open up the app. So once you've opened up Irrfan View, we're going to click on File, click on Batch Conversion Rename. So we are going to be both converting these files, these NEF files, to TIFFs and also renaming them. So we're going to click Batch Conversion, Rename Result Files. We're going to change our output format from JPEG to TIFF, since we already have JPEGs and we want to make the TIFFs. And then we're going to tell Irrfan View how we want to name our images. So here I recommend that you by default, the images will have a prefix like DC, just whatever they came off the camera with. I would recommend that you change that prefix to something descriptive about the item or items that they're a part of, or the project that they're a part of. In this particular case, since this is just a demo, I'm just going to give them the prefix demo. And then the last thing that you can do, you may have noticed before I changed that name pattern, there were a couple pound signs, a couple hashtags at the end. What those do is tell Irrfan View that we want the images numbered. And the reason why I'm going to go ahead and put 3 pound signs here instead of just 1, despite the fact that we have only 5 images, is that will actually pad out the image file names. The reason why that's important, as you may or may not know, if we had just put 1 pound sign and we had, let's say 100 images, so we had image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then on up to 100, but if those actual numbers were a different length of digits, if we went into Windows File Explorer and tried to sort those files, rather than sorting them 1, 2, all the way up to 100, it would sort them 1, followed by 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, then 100, then 2, then 20, then all of the 20s, then 3, then all of the 30s, etc. It's kind of counterintuitive. However, if you pad out those image numbers, so that instead of just being image 1, it's image 001, all the way up to image 100, it'll actually sort them as you'd expect. It's 001, 002, 003, all the way up to 10, then 10 to 20, 20 to 30, etc. So that's why we're going to pad out the image numbers like this. The last setting that we need to change is we just are going to want to save the TIFs right in the folder that the NEFs are. So we're going to click Use Current Folder, although actually first we need to navigate to the right folder where the images are. They're in the TIF folder, so we actually need to click the Use Current Folder again. Now it's got the right folder. The reason we're not seeing any images here is it's looking for comic graphic file types. NEF is not common. We need to change it to all files. Once we do that, we see our NEFs. We click into that window, kind of select all. Windows shortcut for that is Control-A. So we've selected all, and then we're just going to drag them down here to the pane we're actually going to interact with. That is all the setup. Once you've done that, we're just going to hit the Start Batch button. It'll take a second here. As you can see, since I only had 5 files, it didn't take very long. If you have more than that, it may take some time. Feel free to get up and walk away from your computer or do something else in your computer while it works in the background. The last thing you'll notice here is there's a nice little log. It shows, we processed 5 files with no errors and no warnings. So if you do walk away from your computer and it encounters an error, you won't have to find that out later. You'll be able to see that right here. But this worked, so we're done. And that's all there is to do in Irrfan view. If we go back to our directory, you see we have the NEF as well as the TIF versions of all the images. We can actually take a look at the thumbnails and see it's the exact same images. If we go back to looking at the file details, you actually notice the TIFs are way larger even than the NEFs. So they really do retain all the information, but that really large file size is why we don't actually want to share these on the internet, because they'll take a while to load. These will be the archival copies of our images. The last thing that we're going to do here, since we do have these TIFs, we don't need the NEFs anymore. Again, if you want to save them for your own purposes, feel free, but there's really no reason to do so, and we're going to go ahead and delete them. And that's all there is to this section of the guide. In the next video, the third video, we will work through uploading these images to the Amazon cloud and creating metadata for each collection item. Hope to see you then.